Chug, 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 chug,
Welcome back to the Wizard Staff. I'm your host, Guy.
And I'm Blake.
And we are two drunk novices that like to talk about EDH. We drink and swear, so you've been warned. Please drink responsibly when you're talking about children's card games. Today we are joined by our very special guest, Jake Boss from MTG Tonight. Welcome, Jake.
What up, everybody? It's Jake. Back again for another podcast.
Yes, we made a classic error that Guy and I often do, which is we are bad and forgot to ask you to record audio. So here we are again.
You may have honestly asked me in the past or something in an email, and I just missed that. But this is the perfect show to do that on, based on our topic.
Yes.
And I think we're all, decently sloshed now at this point too.
Yeah.
Let me pour myself another drink while we get back into the same exact show that we already recorded.
Yes. So the topic today is talking about how to improve your production, like for free, like how to do production better. And we're all trying to help each other and learn from each other and support each other. So that's what we're all
Let me
here
start
for.
with a quick story. I'm going to interrupt you right now.
Go for
I'm
it.
going to start with a quick story because this is now incredibly relevant. I planned with my crew to shoot on September 26th. We were really excited to get it all done. I had planned everything out. I had a guest. I had 4 people here help me shoot the thing. And then at the end of the shoot, I get the audio from the sound guy, and it's unusable. It's garbage. It's a garbled mess because it was MP3 recorded at a super low bit rate. So we didn't have another sound source that sounded good enough because all the other stuff had interference and stuff. So we had to throw it away. And I said, all right, guys, well, you want to do this again in 2 weeks? I don't think we can release this one. And they said, yup, let's do it. So that's like exactly where we are right now. Like, you just got to jump off the cliff sometimes. And when it doesn't work out, you do better next time.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're here. They're doing it better next time. Yeah. All right.
Jake, would you just like to give us a little background on to yourself and what you do first?
In case anyone does not know who you are.
Yeah, I don't know how they wouldn't know who I am.
Right, most important man.
1,000 subscribers.
Congrats.
You know how many dozens of people that is? So I'm Jake Boss. I am a broadcast editor, which means I work on commercials and stuff like that. I've done T-Mobile, Overwatch, Kroger, a ton of stuff for Adidas, Logitech, Nike, whatever. Just a bunch of different brands. And that is my day job. But during my off hours, I host a show called MTG Tonight, which is a Tonight show all about Magic the Gathering, where we do deck techs, live gameplay, and live music and all that kind of stuff. It's a really fun show for me to produce, and I think that might be why it's fun to watch for some people, because it's obvious that we're having a good time on screen.
And if anyone was wondering, 1,000 subscribers is 83 dozen.
Thank you. I was wondering that as soon as you started talking again about how many dozens 1,000 is. We've already downed our drinks, so
Yeah.
we're doing good.
Yeah.
So what's fun for you in Magic the Gathering?
It's all about the people. So for me, the people, when I sit down, I say, all right, which one of you wants second place? Because I play supervillain politics. I want to make sure that my table is having a good time. And if they don't like, that sort of a player, then I try to dial it back. I try to make sure that my power level matches theirs, but it's almost always commander. And, when it's standard, I'm always chatting people up. It's always about having fun with people through Magic.
Yeah, when I sit down to a table, I always ask, hey, what's the power level everyone's playing? Because I want everyone at the very beginning to, be within the same range, so that by the end of it, no one's like, this person just comboed off turn 4, and I'm playing my super casual Kalia deck, and what the heck, man? And I want to avoid that completely and just be like, hey, how's everyone? Are we all in the same sphere here? Yeah? All right, friends, let's get this going.
And obviously they're going to lie pretty much all the time
about
what their power level is, but that's their job. They're your opponent. But yeah, it's all about making sure everyone has a good time. And my dad was the same way when I was a kid. You know, he liked work in the room, and I used to do that same thing, like kind of at other people's expense when I was a kid, because I was like, oh, you make fun of people to get laughs, and that was not how you're supposed to do things. Because I was not a nice person, you know, until I kind of learned my lesson with that whole thing. Like, it's so much more fun to be nice to people than it is to be a jerk.
Yeah, plot twist. It's like cool to be nice.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's not cool to be a douche.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, do you have like a favorite card or like a favorite commander or
So Kineos and Tiro were my first commander, and I've tried to make them work as an Enchantress deck with stuff like Warstorm Surge as the red, and Possibility Storm in red as well. But I have gone back to Tuvasa Voltron kind of as my most fun commander deck, but the one that I identify with is Joda, Archmage Eternal. But as far as cards go, I remember cracking a Soul Separator at one of my first drafts when I started playing. And I've had that card just bouncing around the box of bulk rares forever. And I finally found a home for it in Brutaclad. And it's a 3-mana artifact, 5 tap and sack it to take target creature in your graveyard and make a 1/1 spirit that's a copy of it. And then you make a zombie that's got its power and toughness. So in Brutaclad, that's super flexible, because even if it's better than a 2/1 mirror, okay, that's a good card. But a lot of the time it'll be, you know, something beefy that isn't normally a token or something like that.
Yeah. Like, it's always nice to find like the deck that you've been having a card for a really long time to put it in. Like, I have a Dimir deck, and I have this card called Mindlock Orb. It's a 4 CMC artifact that just says players can't search libraries, and nobody knows about it. And so I play it, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's one of my favorite cards." Like, you mean I can't ramp? I can't do all these things? And I'm like, "Nope, not even me. We're all in this together."
Which is another great reason why you should not pay $70 for a freaking fetch land.
No,
it is not worth $70 because some jerk is going to avid mind censor you when you could have been paying your rent instead.
Yes. Priorities.
All right, so we've already had our drinks through our first round, but what are you drinking tonight, Jake?
Tonight I am drinking the gas station special, which is this nasty pink monster and some $15 vodka that I bought with my friends this weekend. You know, the sort of vodka where you see it on the bottom shelf and you're like, dude, people shouldn't be drinking that. That's what I do. That's how I live my life.
That's why they hide it on the bottom, so nobody can see it.
Yeah, they don't want you to buy it.
No.
They're contractually obligated to carry this vodka.
So we're sorry that you had to drink another one now.
Oh, poor me.
Oh, poor, pitiful me. Yeah.
All right, so tonight's topic is how to improve your production for free today. So we're just going to jump right into some good questions here. So, Jake, if you had no fucking clue about anything production related,
like less,
what's a good resource to start with?
So last time I said something different, but I'm going to change my answer.
Ooh, I like it.
Even better.
Even better, honestly.
Put it on mute, because the financial advice isn't worth anything, but go watch Alpha Investments. Okay? Rudy, he turns on the camera, stands in front of his whatever goofy backdrop he's made, and says, "Welcome back, everybody, Rudy from Alpha Investments," and then does his whole spiel with mnemonic devices and calls to action and everything, and does 0 edits. And it's all on his phone, I promise you.
That was a really good impression. Like, not gonna lie.
Thank you. No, I've actually met Rudy in the past, and he helped me out on a Kickstarter I was doing one time. I had a product I had made, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, Rudy, I made this." And he's like, "Oh yeah, Mojo." And then he said, "Give me a link. Let's put it on the channel." And I'm like, "Cool, dude. Okay." And that was our biggest day in sales, was when Rudy plugged us. But no, look at how he does his production. You don't need anything special. You just need something interesting to talk about. And you have to know your thing. You have to believe in your thing. And the rest will catch up with you. So the answer that I gave last time was just go out and do it. And Rudy's doing exactly that. Just jump off that bridge and see what happens. And when you find something where you've hit a wall and you say, dude, I don't know how to do this. How are people having good audio quality in their video? There's an answer out there. Now you know what to Google. Because that's the hardest thing when you're doing this stuff is like, dude, we don't even know what to Google.
That's like what my uncle says every time I see him on Christmas. He's like, just Google it. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Very helpful.
I mean, if you think about it, there are people out there who are way dumber than you, who are doing this better than you are. So they must be doing something. Are they just working harder? Or are they working more? Or is there some technique that they're using I don't? Or did they spend money on a certain piece of gear? Like for me, this sound device that I bought was $200, and it saves me 1 hour per shoot because I don't have to figure out some cobbled together audio situation. I just always have it ready to go.
Damn, that's very nice.
There are effective ways to spend your dollar, and there are ways to blow your money on nothing. So
Like fetch lands.
Like fetch lands. So the fetch land of production right now is a camera. If you're going to be spending money on a camera, it better be for a good reason. You better need it to do something more than your phone can, because your phone can do a pretty damn good job. So turn on your phone, use it as a sound device if you already have a camera on hand, or if you have two phones, you want to get a sound device as close to your face as you can while still being out of the frame. And like my phone camera is better than most of the cameras I've ever owned in my life. There's a saying that the best camera is the one that you have with you. And that's true for editing software too. So there's Avid, which is the Hollywood software. And if you're interested in going to edit for Hollywood, you need to learn Avid. There's Premiere, which is used professionally by smaller post houses or indie people or whatever. And then there's Resolve, which was color correction software. That was the standard in color correction professional software for years. And then they started adding on these editing tools for free. So now you can download Resolve from Blackmagic and be editing for free today. So there's no excuse to post an unedited video if you had wanted to do an edited video. But like I said earlier, look at Rudy. There's a lot that you can do unedited.
Mm-hmm. He's pretty great. He's very well spoken, and I definitely want him as like my hype man if I ever go to the gym or something. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture somewhere of me and Rudy with floppy taco in hand. I don't know. It was a different time in my life. I was much younger 2 years ago.
So off of the note you made about just use your phone. Everyone has a phone, and it's a pretty good camera. Like, what kind of apps would you use in conjunction with the phone?
So there's an app that I use called Pro Movie, which lets you shrink down the size of your video to 1080p. And that's important because no one is delivering in 4K. I do professional stuff all day long, and unless you're doing a feature or a TV show or something like that, no one is even sending out 4K files.
Oh.
So even though everyone's TV says 4K on it, you're not watching 4K files. And that's for a reason. 1080p is 1/4 the size of 4K. Now imagine you were painting something on a 1080p size canvas, and you took that and blew it up to 4K. Now you've got 4 times the amount of canvas and the same amount of paint to cover that whole thing. And that's kind of how data rates work. So your files will be the same size, but you're trying to cover this larger canvas. So what I want to do is be able to shrink down my footage to 1080p. And the only way that you can do that at 24 frames per second is with third-party apps on an iPhone. So yeah, that's the only reason I'm using a third-party app. Most baked-in software camera apps let you freeze the auto exposure and autofocus, and that's mainly all you want to do.
Do you ever think like, this is kind of just going off on a tangent, but like, do you ever think like the new standard will become 4K, like just add more paint, or do you think it's not worth it?
It just depends on how video is being viewed. So like VR, the more that becomes a thing, we're going to need more resolution, because when you flatten out a sphere into something that's equirectangular, you're going to start noticing the screen door effect a lot more. And it'll be something else besides we want more vivid detail that'll take us into 4K. Mm-hmm. But really, the best video quality you can get right now is on a Blu-ray, because the bit depth is as good as you can get. Like the signal that I'm sending to YouTube is something like 40% the size of Blu-ray. And keep in mind that I'm using professional specs. Like when clients, big name clients, ask me to send them MP4s or whatever, those specs are 40% the size of what's on a Blu-ray. So, if you really care about quality, optical media is still where it's at, but it'll be something else that takes us into that higher resolution. There's always going to be something new, but we've reached, in my opinion, the point of diminishing returns for resolution.
As a MTG Tonight host kind of person, you've talked and collaborated with many other content creators like Magic with Subi. So are there any like tips and tricks either you've picked up from them or helped them out when, shooting something?
So with collaboration, the most important thing is that the person you're collaborating with, it has to be like you're summoning a planeswalker or something, someone to play on your side, because they were the only one that could do this. Those are the best collaborations, is when someone shows up on your show because it was only them that could talk about this thing. So if I were to have anyone else on my show talking about deck boxes, I bet we would all ask ourselves, man, what would it be like if the professor was talking about these deck boxes right now? What would he have to say? Which Aaron Kane product would he bring along? So that's why it was fun to do Prof's show like that. Instead of tell us about your commander deck, because that's not who he is, So when I collaborate, I try to have a clear idea, or at least the understanding that the idea is what we're trying to work on, not just, hey, do you maybe want to work with me sometime if that's ever your thing or whatever. Like, I've got this collaboration with Pixie Kitten, and I'm excited about it. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh! CGI thing. It's a very ambitious project that I've been working on for 2 months. I've got the CG environment built and the script written, and she recorded her lines for the animatic. But when I messaged her, I had this concept in mind where I'm like, okay, it's not about, hey, would you ever want to collaborate sometime, maybe? It's about, I've got this idea, and you are the one who I need to do it with. So I just started typing, hey, I've got a big idea, and I was wondering if you want to do this with me, and I had no plan. And I just start typing out this thing, and I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty good. And then I sent it off to her, and she's like, hell yeah, let's do it. This will be fun. But she did the same thing with the professor. Just give somebody a really good idea, and someone who has 800 times the amount of subscribers that you do will be like, fuck yeah, that sounds fun. Let's do it.
That's why we have you on, because you know a lot about production, right?
It's my most favorite thing to talk about.
What are some free editing like programs, or what programs would you recommend for people making stuff? Like we use Audacity and InDesign
and iMovie
to make stuff.
So people will shit on iMovie for no reason, but one of the biggest Commander channels out there is using Google Sketch, which is very close to Microsoft Paint, and iMovie. And these are free programs. This dude makes 5 videos a week, and he's incredibly successful. Sponsored by TCG Player, Commander's Quarters. Mitch is an excellent dude who has helped me along the way in a big way. But that's all it takes, is if you've got something to talk about, use free tools until you need to pay for something, because people are too quick to go spend money on something. But if you must go beyond iMovie, go use Resolve. And if you're trying to go beyond Resolve, don't go spend money on Sony Vegas. That's the one software that I actively don't recommend, is that it's not ever used professionally, so there's not professional support out there for it when it breaks.
Unless you have it, it's not really worth getting it.
Exactly. If you have it already, then it's the perfect tool for you because it's the one you have. Just like cameras, the one that you have with you is the best one. But don't buy Sony Vegas just because it's $100 versus $50 a month versus Final Cut, which is $300.
Yeah, as someone who uses iMovie, I even shit on iMovie myself quite a lot just because my computer just takes way too long to like export anything. So,
well, remember, The English Patient came out in 1993. and that was the first movie to be edited on a computer. How did they do it? They transcoded to lower resolution footage that the computer could handle. Then when it was time to export, you flip it out for high resolution media. And that's possible with iMovie even, where the playback video is 1/4 the size that it normally is.
Are you a fan of Seinfeld?
Absolutely.
Okay, because you brought up the English patient, and
Yeah.
there's the episode where Elaine's the only one who doesn't like the English patient, and everyone else is sitting through the movie crying. Personally, I'm kind of with Elaine, but that's all right.
Yeah, one of the questions you guys had asked me was actually about are there any free resources or whatever that people should use? And I talked about something else because that's what I do. But what I should have said is there's a movie called The Cutting Edge, and it was made in like 2000 or something. But Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, and the guy who edited The English Patient, Walter Murch, are all talking about editing. And I think J.J. Abrams is in it with his editor, and they talk about the relationship with the editor, the importance of every single frame. And there's a lot of good old Hollywood editing stuff in there. But Ann Coates, who edited, Lawrence of Arabia, she was talking about how if they were editing on an Avid, which is a computer, if they were editing on a computer, the script called for a dissolve when they blew a match out and it would dissolve to a large sun in the sky. But since they were doing film, it was just a hard cut, and then they would do the dissolve later. But they blow the match out, and then it's a hard cut to a beautiful sunset. And that sort of thing is just something you wouldn't discover if you weren't using an inferior tool. If you had gotten that thing that you wanted, you would have never seen this thing that you weren't smart enough to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes our tools do that for us.
Mm-hmm. I feel like obstacles are like where people really like their creativity really comes out, and like they think of some of their best work. Yeah. Like we were trying to film our very first gameplay video, and we just had like the two chairs up on tables, and then had tape across the two chairs, and then the lighting wasn't right, and we had turned off all the lights, and then we're like, we need it right over there next to the natural light windows, and then we're like, okay, we got to do this now because we're running on natural light, and we can't. It's like 6 p.m. and it's gonna get dark soon.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like you have to remember, everyone who is a professional at this stuff has been exactly where you are, where they're like, oh shit, what do we do now? This thing that we tried at first didn't work. How are we gonna fix it? And sometimes that answer is just you do that hard work. Like in our case today, and in my case when I recorded my pilot, you just got to do it again. And we're making a better show now than we did half an hour ago, because we've gone through it once before, and we know each other a little bit better, and we know what we want to talk about. And everything like that is an iterative process, so you can win every single time, even when you fail.
Like what's the saying? Like you learn more when you like fail than when you win. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can fall ass backwards into something and not learn a single thing.
So you've talked about like some of the projects that you've worked on. Is there a suggested timeline of how you would manage your time on certain aspects of production?
Yeah, so the most important thing is don't put the cart before the horse. I don't care how the cards are going to animate on until I know what cards I'm talking about. And if I'm talking about those cards, why am I talking about it? So for my audience, they might want to know what cards are worth my money. Like when Vanifar was spoiled, didn't she go up to like $25 or something? And now she's at like $6.
Yeah, people got bored of her.
Yeah, just $10, something like that. Like, she's totally reasonable now. And it's not like that 3 months with Vanifar would have been something to be excited about. So my audience would care about, okay, what are these underrated cards that might be worth something to me? So I'll start off of that and then pull cards and stuff. And then, like, even while I'm shooting, I'll be like, you know what? This video isn't turning into something that is this thing. It's actually becoming more of this thing. And I'll deviate from the script a little bit. And then when I go to edit, I took a 20-minute video last night and brought it down to 10 minutes. And I'm not talking about raw footage. I cut out the ums and the dead space and stuff like that. And it was still 20 minutes long, but the things that I was talking about, even though they were related, weren't important for making the argument that I was trying to make.
Mhm.
So every single, like, there's a saying, no line is worth a scene, no scene is worth a movie. And Mark Rosewater uses this one all the time because he was a screenwriter on Roseanne. You know, like, so magic design and filmmaking are, you know, close to each other in that way too. Which that's barely related. I don't know why I'm talking out of my ass like that, but anyway, no, the timeline thing is don't put the cart before the horse, and make sure you're doing everything you're doing for a reason.
Yeah, we've been listening to Mark Rosewater's podcast from like we're trying to do like binge from episode 1 to where he is now.
Yeah, he must be like 600 or something.
Yeah, we're not even halfway.
We're all, no.
But
yeah, I love that show.
He said multiple times, like, you know, once you make something and you get it down to as short as it can, then even cut like 10% of it. It's like,
and that happens all the time in the editing room.
yeah.
My favorite part of Mark's podcast is when I wish that I wasn't driving when I was listening to it so that I could do drinking games with it. And my favorite ones are like when a card or a person or some object, some inanimate object or something says, hey, like sometimes a card will say, hey, I'm this sort of thing. And then another card in the cycle will say, hey, I'm this sort of thing. And that's what design is all about. You know, like, so whenever something says, hey, you take a drink.
How did I
I've
know
always
about
wanted
this?
to do like a Mark Rosewater Drive to Work podcast about impressionism where I'm doing an impression of him. And I'm sure sometime down the line that'll be in the cards, but we'll see how it goes.
One of the ones that I've noticed is he'll be like, meanwhile. Like, that's one that just comes up all the time, too.
Yeah, don't drink and drive, but Mark doesn't make it easy.
No. We plan to do a recording. Even though on our podcast we drink, we won't drink for the Mark Rosewater Drive to Work podcast because we're going to drive and review the podcast.
A few that, like, the ones that we've listened up to and just like thoughts that we've like extracted from his that we thought are interesting and worth noting.
I highly recommend taking your sound settings in your car and sending it all the way to the front and to the right when you listen to Mark's podcast, so it's like he's riding with you. So it's like hand all the way to the side and up at the front.
Well, I think that's kind of it. I feel like we've like taken a lot of your night tonight re-recording this.
Well, I would ask you, what do you think I would be doing otherwise? Probably. And so I posted a video today, so tonight is kind of my night to, you know, chill out and literally do nothing. So you guys are not taking up any of my time. I'm hanging out with my new friends, sitting in my office on my set. My life is pretty good right now. So.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
Do it.
No.
It soars with the eagle's nest.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for us that you...
Or like closing comments that you think people should know about?
I think that a lot of sentences start with "I think that," and people have no idea where they're going with it. Anyway, no, okay. So here's what I said last time. I think if I have a content creator tech help Discord, and people are in there all the time saying, I'm still in the planning stages of my channel. I'm still trying to figure out my name or whatever. And I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be planning anything. My show took 3 months to plan, but that's because I had to buy like $1,000 worth of stuff on top of what I already owned and all this other crap. Like, your show shouldn't take anything to plan. Come up with a good script and forget your logo. Realize that Prof didn't have a logo for the first year, and take your name and add MTG to the end of it, and there you go. There's your channel. That's Randy Smith MTG. Okay, perfect. Now what's your damn video about? What unique value do you add to this community? What are you saying that no one else is saying, and who can you help? You know, that's why we should be doing this stuff, not to have playmats with our logos on it or whatever. We should be doing it because of the unique value that we can share with the world. and nothing is holding you back from doing that. Again, look at Rudy. He doesn't even have a logo. Well, I guess he does, but he didn't have a logo for a long time, and he just turns on the camera and talks. You can do the same thing, and you can probably do something a little bit more intricate with editing and stuff, but all that matters is you get out there and you just try it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being on our podcast, and
Absolutely.
thank you for
I can't
doing
wait till
this
next time.
twice.
Yes.
It's a perfect example of exactly what we've been talking about, which is, sometimes you got to fail to win, and to, maybe have a even better show. It took us, recording 2 shows, and
Yeah.
it's just a happy accident that it kind of worked out this way. But I think the product is better for it, and I'm happy to get to talk to your audience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jake, where can people find you on social media?
If you're looking for the show, you can find the show at MTG Tonight on Twitter. If you're looking for me, my problems, and my bullshit, you can find me at JakeBossMTG on Twitter. I'm always oversharing. I'm doing memes. I'm doing cosplay photo edits and stuff like that. Just, unique me. Just like everyone else, unique. But anyway, JakeBossMTG or at MTG Tonight.
All right. Yeah, and keep up the good work. You're doing great. Like, we've been watching you this whole time, and so have other people, and I'm very
I really
optimistic.
appreciate it.
Yeah, like, I'm really optimistic to see like what you're gonna do. Yeah.
Well, you guys will get to be along for the ride, and I'm sure I'll have you on the program at some point. And I'll forget to hit the record button or something like that.
I hope you do. Please do.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll make me feel a little better.
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
All right, and
Absolutely.
yes, and thank you for listening, and we are signing off now.
All right. Have a good night. Peace.
Peace.